In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about Snoopy mugs or mugs in general. And this was just kind of an interesting, this video had started as a tutorial on Anchor Hocking mugs that are good for resale on eBay. But then I started thinking about it'd be interesting to do a compare and contrast over the vintage mug versus a more contemporary mug. These are both from my personal collection that I use to drink from, and they're not for sale, but Snoopy mugs are something that I always keep an eye out for, especially the vintage ones. And what I thought was very interesting is on the left here we have the vintage Anchor Hocking mug, and in the front is Snoopy and Woodstock dancing, and then you turn it around and it says, "At times life is pure joy." And it's got really nice graphics, but I don't have a dishwasher, so I don't put glasses in the dishwasher. And these old mugs that were made before dishwashers were commonplace, a lot of times the graphics really weren't made to withstand the wear and tear of the dishwasher. On the bottom, it's kind of hard to see, but it says oven proof anchor. It has a picture of the anchor, and then also 301 and made in USA. And the Anchor Hocking logo will change through the years, but usually the anchor's there, so that'll give you an idea. And the texture is the smooth milk glass. And then over here we have a more contemporary. It's a much bigger mug, and the picture's the same on the side, both sides. It's Snoopy and Woodstock. And when you look underneath, it's kind of all spelled out for you that in case there was a date, there's a date, 2019. It was made in China. Stoneware, dishwasher and microwave safe. So, that's a contemporary one, and there probably isn't a whole lot of demand for them on eBay. They're a dime a dozen. Usually you might find that there's always an exception to the rule, but just ask any teacher. They're usually a dime a dozen. Um, so what I found really interesting was the size of these. It's both my morning coffee mugs. Interestingly enough, the little one here, the older one, that holds only 6 to 8 ounces of coffee. And if you get to 8 ounces, you're right up to the brim. So you're having like 6 to 7 ounces of coffee. Back to the whole supersize me as the world's progressed, I come over to this one and I thought, well, let's see how much this holds. This mug for your morning coffee holds 12 ounces. So then a few months ago, I had started to do an experiment. Would I notice if I switched to the little one? Which, bottom line is, I didn't. I just didn't. But that was a much larger, it's just a much, much larger mug. Now, when we talk about, so that was just as an FYI, because I thought it was interesting how much a contemporary mug versus a vintage mug, the size difference. But I was wanting to talk a little bit about the Anchor Hocking mugs. They're a desirable mug, and also sometimes you might find it like the Anchor Hocking cereal bowls, also desirable. And a lot of times they made so many, um, but some of the just sometimes they would have a restaurant logo on them. Sometimes they might have like the Bazooka Gum logo, the yellow smile face logo. Burger King, McDonald's had these. At times, there was some smiling fruit with Nancy Lynn artwork logos on it. There was also when I was looking to see when I was looking at completed, and then I had had you could have the search engine going from highest to lowest, which is always kind of interesting because the highest you're going to see what's the holy grail out there. Um, I saw an Apollo Snoopy on the Moon one that had gone for over 200. I'd seen a child's ABC mug that had gone for over 300. There's also the Jadeite series that are in the green that are green stoneware. And so it was really interesting. And of course, like anything, if um, you have a group, a lot of times that will go higher. But at the same time, you want to research because the group may go higher, but if you in research how much each one goes for individually, you might be better off breaking up the group. The other thing with when you do mail a group, you have to be careful that they're not. It's a little trickier. Well, they're heavy, but they're also like that they don't clank together because that's a good way that they can get broken in shipping. They're so that groups can be a little tricky, and also be aware of when people use free shipping on glassware and mugs and things like that. That can really be expensive on your as a seller because the mug itself isn't that heavy, but when you pack it well, that becomes a heavy a pricey thing to ship, um, because usually people don't want to pay a lot in shipping, but then they at the same time, oh, make sure you pack it well. So it's kind of yeah, it's kind of like spitting into the wind if you're trying to don't economize on shipping on glassware. When you ship glassware, also, I always like to ship priority, which I think at this time, and it changes, they will insure for up to $50 automatically when you ship priority. So that's always a good idea. It used to be 75, but I think it's bumped down to $50 of insurance. But the Anchor Hocking glasses, I love to look at them. A lot of times I don't find them. And when I do, it's a lot of times they may be very faded, or you just run your hand around and it's like, do you feel the chips? Do you see repairs? These are a nice glass and they're a desirable glass. Um, and I, they have the plain white ones that are like the milk glass, and those do sell, but usually I find the ones with the pictures on them to be much better mover. Um, and that's what I have to share with you today about the my two Snoopy mugs and the Anchor Hocking vintage one compared to the modern day Snoopy mug. Thanks for stopping by, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe, and have a good day.